Hello everybody, today I have the pleasure to propose to you this new video, this key 9 entitled Liberation of the Ego through the Destruction. Well, we're gonna define what it is concretely ego, linked to personality, and also why destruction. Well, actually this video, this key is very consubstantial. It is linked to the previous one, which is the key 8 regarding apocalypse. We saw that apocalypse literally it means revelation, unveiling. So it means take out the veils, and the veils of illusion are linked to the macro environment that we define regarding the system in general, that to say financial, economical system, society, social dimension, and then ecology, environment, and so on and so forth. But we define it like this because this is important, is a part of the awakening, is the apocalypse. So apocalypse means that you realize, we've realized the real lies. Concretely, it's just you analyze the masquerades of the reality, as we saw, the organization, and so on. So, and by proposing some solution eventually, and to try to improve. But concretely, why it was so important to show it like this? Because this statements allows you to understand the impact on you. Because concretely, and this is what we're gonna see, basically these elements which are, let's say, outside, okay, outward, have an impact towards you, okay? These elements shape your mind, shape your way of thinking, shape your personality, okay? So, well, let's try to define the notion of ego and to compare with the notion of personality. So basically, the ego is the dark side of yourself, which is the small, the small voice telling you. I mean, usually it's two things. It's the negative voice saying you cannot, you're not able. Okay, so it tries to reduce your capacity or break its, let's say, a dream breaker. Okay, concretely, no, I don't feel him, I don't feel her, or it's too beautiful, or and so on. This is kind of thing destroying, because its reason for being of the ego is to make, to establish a certain differentiation. He wants to be alone, and he wants to master you concretely, okay? So he doesn't want any boyfriend, he doesn't want any husband or whoever, he doesn't want friends, he just wants to be alone with yourself and to master yourself. So he wants to isolate you in a certain extent from the unity, from the big wall, as we say. Please remember this metaphor of the fact that we are, let's say, the painting and the painter, okay? This is divinity, God, and the different characters are embodying by us. Okay, so to see ourselves, we need to extract from the big picture, and this is the reason for being of the existence, because to exist means literally to separate. So we have been obliged to separate from the absolute, the big all, or the great all that we can call the source, God, unity, and so on. So concretely, it's exactly his function and his reason for being of existence is to separate from the other, the environments, the world, and so on. So, and by the way, we can decipher, just for fun, ego like E.G.O, hedge God out. Okay, so concretely, he doesn't want to share anything. He's like selfish, and he really wants to preserve from outside. So this is his first things, the dark side of your personality. Its second part, he outsources all types of responsibility. It's never its fault. It's never your fault. Actually, it's always the fault, but the fault's on someone else. If I'm, I don't know, I'm not happy, is because my parents, is because of my education, is because of my country, my culture, it's because of the government, it is because of the politics, it's because of the media, this is because of my neighbor, this is because of my my stepmother, this is my mother-in-law, and so on and so forth. You know, so this is the responsibility that we outsource. And one basic principle of awakening is first admit that this is our responsibility. Okay, this word is the consequences of our feeling, our mind, and so on. We are what we think. And concretely, the notion of choice is ours, okay? And every time it's up to us. So, okay, there is some favorable, let's say, circumstances and so on. It's a matter of fact, we do agree. But it is important to try to say, okay, I'm not waiting for anything outside. I try to change myself. And this is the part of be the change that you want to see in the world, the famous philosophy from Gandhi, and for me that I apply. I'm not waiting from the new prophet from the sky. I'm not waiting for the government. I'm not waiting for anybody, my neighbor, and so on. I try to do. I'm a dreamer, and also in parallel, I'm a doer. We are doing here, for example, some things I told you before, community. We are building a new school, alternative school with new way of some new disciplines and so on. Okay, so we do. We are not waiting that the permission and so on. We have the permission. It's because most of the time, you know, the trauma, the problems, and the ego, which is everything is combined concretely, is these are like walls for which we give a reason for being of their existence. As long as we understand that they are just there and stable because of our beliefs and because we credit them, or we force us, we have been educated to believe in them. But once we decide to break them up, they disappear like ghosts, because the ghosts are within us. That's why it's so important the notion of introspection, Delphi philosophy, know thyself, and you will know the secrets of the gods and the universe. Okay, so the work of the inner work is really important. I am what I am because of my relative, the society, or I'm truly myself. This is very important points to think about it. For example, you are the fruit of your education. As a matter of fact, your parents shape you, educate you, and so on. First, you can be against or you can be in favor, but at least you're not indifferent. You can be taught through a counter-example. Personally, I practice the management in my current company with the all counter-examples I had in big groups, for instance, okay, which was, for me, not human. You understand? So you can be the same for your parents. You can reproach them to have been, I don't know, racist or not tolerant or whatever it can be, or machist and so on, then it can impact you, it can shape you, okay? And obviously there is an impact. So your education first, the educative system, the way of teaching in China is not the same than in Brazil, is not the same than in Lesotho, is not the same than in Turkmenistan, and so on and so forth. So this has an impact. In France, in different countries in the world, we teach philosophy, for example, which is not the case in many countries. In Belgium and in Denmark, we teach empathy. This is something I recommend for 20 years. And luckily, they did it 5-6 years ago. Not because of me, of course, but let's say because it's common sense, and in the future it will be more and more. It means that they will be in advance. In Canada, I know that in some schools, the mindfulness meditation is taught, and it will be more common. So they receive a certain type of education, shaping their mind, shaping their self-development, shaping their awakening or not, okay? This is positive or negative. So basically education, but in general, the society, you were born, for example, let's take an example, even for the language shape your mind. I speak several languages, and honestly, even the fact to be a French native speaker shaped my mind in a certain extent. We know that it's more linked to literature, French. That's why in the past, most of, let's say, intellectuals used to speak French, which is the same thing. I learned Latin and Greek. It shaped my mind. It's like mathematics. Those who knows, actually, the grammar is quite complex, and actually, because according to the space of the sentence, is changed the sounds. So even so anyway, just to make it short, but it's like in German, most of the time you have in a sentence, if you say I think that's, and so on, system in subordinate, you have the verb at the end, and the verb refers to the sentence, the meaning, and actually if you interrupt someone in a certain moment, you cannot understand what he's saying, so you never interrupt. So basically, can we consider that this is chicken and egg? German are polite because of the education, of course, but in parallel of that, they are also polite for matter of fact of the language. So definitely the language has an impact. Chinese, for example, the Mandarin I learned, I live more than 10 years in China and still have my company there. Concretely, this is not really precise languages because the sounds compile lots of meanings. For example, shi means literally more than 10 things. Think, to be, and so on. So that's why there is a lot of confusion and misunderstanding in the language, but when they write, it's much more precise than our Latin alphabet because it's icons. It means this is like draws, and it touches immediately your brain. Okay, for example, shang is like up, like this, when you do like this. So literally, it goes directly to your right hemisphere, so it's more precise. Okay, it's avoid. When you see smile, you can write smile, and you see a smile, immediately you understand, and there is no interpretation. So anyway, just to say that even the language impact. For example, someone living in France, being French speaker, will be shaped differently than someone from Belgium, from Switzerland is the same. I mean, French speaker, French part, but I mean, they have different history, they have different king or institution and so on. In Quebec, there are different state of mind and so on. So it's things in Northern Africa, a lot of people are French speaker, they are Arabic, okay, so the Arabs, they don't have the same, they speak French, but they don't have the same culture and so on, due to religion, due to the history and so on. If you take Arab from Palestine, a refugee, or intellectual from Syria, refugee as well, because unfortunately there are a lot of doctors, philosophers and so on in the refugee camps as well, something that we ignore sometimes because this culture was really prevalent, same for Iran, and I went there, so I can testify, this culture is amazing. But anyway, just to come back to the point, all this impacts our mind, and actually this is really interesting to analyze the impact of the society, like the media, for example. The media, nobody is objective, it's impossible. Even a lawyer, he can be really professional and so on, he necessarily has his own feeling and his own point of view for anything. So even the media, they are, let's say, not really objective, which is normal, by the way. And I'm not talking about propaganda and extreme in certain dictators and so on. It's not this, but at least even in a liberal country, in the free countries, the media, they are never. So it's really interesting always to analyze. Even me, I'm not objective at all. And I'm subjective because I try, this is my personality, this is the fruit of my let's say, experience of life, my perception, my feelings, my sensitiveness, and so on. And I gather some information, but maybe I'm missing some of them, and so on and so forth. So that's why I'm always telling you, don't swallow everything, but try to chew a little bit and also to digest. This is extremely important for everything. That's why the Sufis said, always question everything, even this single advice, which is so true for everything in general. So this is really important to analyze, to do this self-analysis, to know why this thoughts is like this. Where is coming from? Is it from my father? It is from this leader of opinion, influencer, and so on and so forth. Okay? And try to see and to visualize what you produce in terms of thoughts in general. Your own philosophy, for example. So this is really important. Another example is, for instance, if I was born in 80, in the Cold War, in a Western Bloc, let's say. If I were born in France in 40 during the war, the Second World War, my life would have been the same. If I was born in 50s, just reconstruction of the world, the country, Europe, and so on, it would not have been the same. In 70s, it's still in the golden period, it wouldn't have been the same, or even now, it would not be the same. So, same, try to think about that. Do you think, without the history, let's say we do a reset and you redo your life, do you think you would redo the same? Maybe not. And parallel of that, your education. I have the same education that my sister. She's completely different from me. Okay, sensitivity and so on is different. If you have a twin sister, twin brother, you can have the same education, so same period, two different characters most of the time. So we are unique. I'm trying to tell you concretely because the all influences, okay, from afar, or from yes, let's say. Your relatives, your education, your parents, your family, your boyfriend, and so on. It's like the sea shaping the stones, okay? It's like erosion, okay, concretely. And we are the fruit and the consequences of that. And actually, what is interesting as well is to analyze concretely the personality now. The personality, what is it concretely? Persona in Greek, in Latin, sorry, it means the mask. Why? Because for the history, in the past, during this period, so two millenniums ago, the piece of theater were silent. So just to express a little bit some emotions, happiness, sadness, they were using some mask. So personality means the mask. Implying thereby there are veils unveiling the reality, your true self, your real divine essence, your true I am is this, is when you observe like the different layers of the onions and you realize with real eyes the real lies of yourself, because sometimes we are pretending you have that, and so on. We have different roles. We are multifacets. We are multitask as well. I'm the father, I'm the husband, I'm the son, I'm the CEO, I'm also, I can be employee, I can be, and so on and so forth. So we don't behave according to the people, according to the functions that we have, our roles, and so on. It's changing as well, because we alternate all the time in between victim, saver, let's say aggressive dimension, torsioner, and so on. So basically, we are alternating. So this is important to visualize what I tried to do as an analogy. We can compare my body, naked, as my true self, okay, the real I am, okay? Aurélien Milo, what you see talking now, is not the true I am. I mean, it is a mask. It is, okay, I'm casual like this because I'm talking about kind of self-development, spirituality, and so on. If tomorrow I go to negotiate for my company, some, I don't know, for my bankers and so on, very strict formal, or for my weddings, I will be with a tie, you know, or I will be more formal, okay? It's normal. If I want to give a different image, even the way of talking, I will be more using some slugs and some cool way and so on, maybe to be more, depending what you want to send as an image. But concretely, we are acting and behaving differently. I'm not the same with my parents that with my friends, or we are not necessarily exactly the same with our partner. It's the normal. It's it's because no need to share everything. I don't want to share and to express what I did when I went to toilets with my wife. It's obvious. It's the same. So I'm not completely transparent regarding that. So of course, when my friends, that's why most of the time we like to be with friends, girls night or boys, because we can be also different and to have some jokes, sex jokes. Yes, it's a matter of fact, it's always happened in both girls and like this, and or to be a bit rude sometimes, it's good and so on, and to have jokes and so on, to play a role. And this is really interesting because we have, to come back to the analogy, the true self is the body and image, and the different clothes would be the personality. So your wardrobe would be concretely your personality, what you are in this life, what your education, society, people, relative, and so on shaped, and what you accept or not, because there is always a notion of choice. I accepted to become this or not, okay? Because we are pushed in a certain extent to do things. If you are architect, if you are scientist, if you are CEO of a company and so on, this is good. If you are an artist, it's not good, and so on. Except if you are a very famous artist or if you have a soccer player and so on. You understand my point? It means that it's up to you to decide and to choose what vibrate, what I like in my life, and so on. So concretely, to make it short, this is interesting, this self-introspection, because it allows you to, let's say, to put to the right place your ego, your personality. So I insist, ego is the dark side of your personality. The personality is not necessarily bad. There is positive things and negative things, okay? Naughty boy sometimes, capricious sometimes, negative. Positive, you have a great heart, you're, I don't know, outgoing person, and so on. But we can change. We can be shy with certain person, and so on. So, but globally speaking, we have a certain characters, which is the fruits of the personality. So it is really interesting to observe, and it will be, by the way, what I recommend as a practice is a kind of operational mindfulness. Concretely, it is analyzing when you are saying something, when you are doing something, when you are part of a game, when you are part of a meeting, when you are encounter, I don't know, an event and so on. Try to visualize the scene as a piece of theater, and you're actor, and in parallel of that, you're a spectator. And what does it mean? It means that you will see, for example, a meeting. Let's imagine, so you're serious because it's formal, and you are supposed, because you are the boss, and you are the boss of your team, and so on, and you want to impose a certain respect. Okay, someone says something, contests you in front of everybody, you feel attacked from your ego, so you gotta defend yourself. Or you're gonna say something like different. You're gonna analyze, and you have the right to say, I didn't ask you your opinion, and so on. You can be strict, or you can also, all right, thank you, very interesting remark, a very constructive one, and so on, even if it's bullshit, because it can be sarcasm as well. But in the sense that analyze, even the way sometimes we feel like, emotions coming, and you want to smash the person, okay? And most of the time, if you smash the person, if you shout and so on, people will focus in terms of communication, not on the content, that's to say the arguments, the real things you're trying to share with, but they will focus on the form. Okay, it's like when you, by the way, the animals are not like this. If you shout on your cats, I love you, or if you say, oh, little dummy, in the second case, they will be happy. In the first case, they will be afraid. Even if you're shouting, I love you, you understand? It's the same principle, actually, at the end for the humans. Because literally, if you are aggressive, people don't, they are blocked. They put a shield of protection. So that's why it's important to try to, okay, does it worth it? I'm get upset. Do you think my result will be okay with that? And the more you analyze yourself, at the moment you do, actually, it has less impact. It's reducing the impact of your personality and your ego, because basically the personality is not bad. It's just is a good servant, but shouldn't be a bad master. It should be a benevolent servant and not a capricious master. Okay, so this is important to put at the correct place and sit, let's say, and also because it's absolutely up to you. It's really comparable to a vehicle. A vehicle, concretely your car. Okay, you can like it because you like comfort, you like the aesthetics, ergonomy, and so on. Yeah, it's one thing. But nobody deify, okay, sacralize, oh my car, I love you, and you pray your car. No, it would be a little bit extreme or weird. But let's say concretely, it is supposed to bring you from one point A to one point B, right? This is just a basic medium. So this is important to consider yourself, your body, like just an envelope, and your character is just an envelope. What is important is what is inside the letter. So different letters and combine make some words, and some words makes combine with other ones, can sentences, and then paragraph, and then books and stories and sentence and emotion and so on. This is concretely your personality. But beyond of that, there is more than this. There is the deep meanings under the lines and so on, which is your true self. And your true self is not what the society wanted to do, you to do, or your parents and so on. It is what you always have been. It is the true self is concretely, my soul doesn't change from this life to another one. Okay, so it will not change in another life, but I will change my uniform, I will change my suit, I will change my clothes. This is very important. So you're gonna think, why all this? Why all this mess? Just basically because we are here, okay, to enjoy life, to recognize the beauty of life, the union with the universe inside us, and also to marvel at life, to share with people, to let's say to have good moments, to let express the divinity and to try to visualize the divinity within us. So all this is already a very transcendental project to find back the unity that we lost from the origins. And actually, in parallel of that, all this is a laboratory, it's just an experience. And why do we have so many experience? And because this is like empathy, we try to have different encounters with people, just because doing the experience of what we are not allows us to know what we are. If you always have yellow glasses, you will see life with these filters, that's to say everything will be yellow. So how to see this picture, this color regarding another one is by comparison. So I can know that I am loyal, or I am faithful, or I am honest, because I saw what is concretely, let's say, corruption and so on, and I don't want that for my life. I'm not like this. But I'm in peace with that because, okay, they are in their cycle. I don't want to fight with them. They are in their process. They are cycling. They are learning. So they need to embody that. I don't need necessarily to be that to understand. I don't want that. So concretely, we do the experience of what we are not to know what we are truly and also what we want. Concretely is more the notion of choice. So basically, as a practice, I invite you to visualize in your daily life the different masks you have in this masquerade and in this play role, and to see the different roles you have and to analyze at the same time, like mindfulness, because it will give less power to your personality, your ego, and so on. And you will feel lighter and lighter with a certain detachment. We will have a lot of fun with life, because sometimes you will see in a meeting, this one just want to show off because he has his small ego, like, a kid. I am this one, I am the boss, this kind of thing. And actually, because he's not really confident, so he pretends to be confident, he's just, it's fake. It's just a uniform he put because he's not confident. Someone confident doesn't need to show off too much. It doesn't need, he is, that's it. He is what he is. That's it. He doesn't need the recognition for other people. So it can be really fun to have this kind of appreciation, and life becomes entertaining and actually much more magic. Well, I invite you to meditate on that actively, passively, and intuitively. Watch this video several times if you need. Try to take notes, rephrase, take it out what you don't like, what doesn't vibrate. Try also to express and to transmit that to someone as a feedback, to visualize if you master every information, if you understand. Try to deepen as well from your side, from your own researches, and also try to share as well for seeing if someone has the same perception than you. Try to combine, because maybe you will give birth to a third vision and new ideas, new perception, because only with a collective dimension, this is individual awakening process bringing us in a collective awakening. The more you awake, the more I do, the more he does, the more they do. Okay, this is like this. Okay, so I really invite you to think about that. This is only one key. Once again, there is as many master keys, because you are shaping step by step your own master key to open up the doors you want up to you, and at your own rhythm, at your own tempo. Well, once again, all the roads lead to Rome and to Rome. Thank you for your attention. See you soon.